Hey everybody, I'm just getting set up here for today's MythLab. And it is going to be a good one, man. I did put some effort into this, right? Like, this is like a good one. I'm sorry, you know what, guys? Like, man, I'm just kind of dealing with it today. Like, I'm actually pissed right now, which maybe it's going to make this whole MythLab even better. Because today I'm talking about fire goddesses, right? And like maybe that's maybe I needed to be hot to really get this done. Like maybe that's what was going on, man. Maybe that's why. Because like I had a day today, man, where like you ever just be like, why is everybody riding me today, man? Like straight tally, man. You're like, why is everybody just riding me today? And that's what I've been going through, man. I've been dealing with like everybody riding me today, man. And I'm gonna break it out why, and then I'm gonna get into this myth lab. Because like I said, this can either be like a really, really good myth lab, or it's going to go off the rails. And I don't know where it's at right now. Like I'm trying to gauge it myself, but I'm really trying to make sure. Okay, I think my music's low enough, right? I think we're good. If anybody's in, let me know. Um, because I like my music and I need it right now. I need to kind of sigh. I need to get it out, right? So, like, I want to show you guys a couple of things before I get started because I know people are just starting to kind of get up in here. I didn't broadcast my time. So it's just I'm just catching whoever is like, on right now, right? So which is totally cool, which is fine, right? But like let me break out what happened to you guys today. So, I'm living in the South now, and you guys know I'm sure I may have mentioned that I do a lot of freelance work, right? So I can stay at, I work at home and so I was like I do some freelance work and I thought, okay, I'm just gonna go on Facebook and drum up some business and just like, hey folks, I'm in the local like business, chat room, and I thought, okay, I'm going to think of a fun way to kind of show my services, right? Let me see if I can find the first one here. Oh man, I want to show you the one that lit it off, right? Because what I did is I uploaded. Man, where's that? I uploaded a basic ad. I'm going to show you guys like what I did, right? Like, so you can see it. Okay, this is it right here. I'm going to show you this because it's kind of cool. Like, it's kind of cool, and I can't understand why people like these people kind of went crazy on me over this, right? And it's not that bad. So I uploaded this earlier because like I do stuff. I don't talk about it here, but I do stuff that's like, if you need like I have production skills. I actually have a production skill set. Like I'm not BSing you. Like I have a degree. I've been working in like Photoshop for like I don't know, man. Like since I don't want to say like the early days of Photoshop, but I've been in it since like early 2000s. Like I was in that group of people, right, where we transitioned from like film stock to digital, right? I was in that movement, and I remember kind of feeling a certain way about it back in the day, right? This was new. Like when you get used to stuff changing, right? Like in my lifetime, like there's kids right now who like your music, stock streaming has always been what you know. So you don't know nothing about like cassette tapes. You don't know about really CDs. You don't know about 8 tracks. You don't know about records. You don't know about any stuff. Not that we're special, but we saw the evolution of music change forever. When I was a kid, like, so I'm born in the 70s. I think like records and stuff were pretty much still dominant at that time, right? And radio was what it was then. And so we've just seen all this technology change. So we don't get nostalgic when one technology replaces something else. Remember, we literally went from like, yeah, we got corded phones. Like I remember rotary phones to like now cell phones. Like I remember working at Circuit City and like the rep for what was the company? Was it Sprint? It might have been Sprint back in the day too. I think Sprint was on the game way back in the day with phones, and they were like, yeah, they were called PCH back then. It was personal communication or whatever, PCA, whatever it was. And he's like, yeah, everybody's going to be carrying one of these. And they were already telling us this is like, this is post college for me. So this is like 96 or something like that, right? Post college. And they're like, yeah, everybody's going to have one of these things. And we're like, what? Are you crazy? Because we were still rolling with pagers. And like, we was cool with pagers. I'm telling you, we used to flip pagers. We used to work. People had whole empires, illegal empires, running off of pagers, right? So anyway, long story short, I go up and I'm like, yeah, I want to just drop into the local forum, just like, let them know the big fish is in the water, just test the water, let them know I hear. So I'm like, what better way than to turn myself into a superhero And I'm thinking long term that I'm going to do a campaign built around me being a superhero, so that every week, like, let me show you the other one. I got that one. Let's see if I got the other one ready. Probably not. This is obviously, that was the first one, and then I was going to come with, right, this one, right? So, like, I'm going to do a daily comic book about me helping you get your projects done, right? You know what I mean? So I made myself a hero for the purposes of being able to be like, yeah, every day I'm not going to do something boring with my services. I'm going to be like, oh yeah, I'm helping you fight for your project, right? Unleash your ideas. Come on, tell me that ain't magic right there, man. Just tell me it's not magic, and I'll listen to you, man. Ask me questions, I'll tell you no lies right now, right? So I'm like, yeah, this is cool, man. These folks descended on me, man, where I had to defend my reputation and honor. They were labeling me all kind of AI artists. Like, look, like I said, I have a degree. I've done photography. I've done all forms of video, and sometimes I use varied stuff. I remember when Photoshop was sketchy, man. I remember people were like, "Oh, that's Photoshop." Like, so don't act like the stuff you guys are using now hasn't always kind of been like the new kid on the block. So anyway, this long scrap, which I had to go back to my old like photography business and show them, yeah, this is my work in still photography. This is my work in video editing. This is my book. Like, I published my first book like back in 2013, like with no help. Like, we didn't have ChatGPT, none of that stuff. I had to man up and figure out how to get it done. It wasn't easy. I formatted my own book, all that stuff, man. So yeah, so I'm kind of deep. So when I tell people I do this stuff, I'm like I'm not an A, like whatever you guys think about AI, I know how to do this stuff. So anyway, I was a little heated about that. Now I've taken too long talking about this stuff, but I had to get it out, man. And I'm still kind of burning a little bit. Like, I'm not joking, man. I'm kind of like bubbling right now, right? So I don't know how this is going to come out, man. But I think it's going to be good because we got like a really great topic here. We have an incredible topic here, and I'm actually excited about each of these three. Like, each of these three goddesses here are all fire goddesses. Obviously, that's the thing here, right? And we got three very interesting ones. We got Aunt Anne, right, who's over here. Aunt Anne, and she's Turkish. We got Pele, right, who's right in the center. And of course, if you know Pele, let me give you like the real background on each of them, right? So all these deities have been around for a while. I'm going to talk about how long they've been around in a little bit as we get a little bit more specific. But who we got here is three different cultures all coming together. Aunt Anne, who is Turkish, so this is Central Asia, right? Siberia. Her spiritual system that she was appreciated in was Tengriism. Then center, you have my favorite, Pele, who is the Hawaiian Polynesian deity, obviously of the islands. Her system, what she comes from, is indigenous Hawaiian religion. And then Brigid, who is, of course, of Celtic or Irish belief system, the British Isles. And she's part of like a system of ancient polytheism, right? So they're all coming at it from different ways. Very different goddesses who've all been on the scene for a really, really long time, right? And we're talking in the beginning, we're like prehistoric era with Aunt Anne. She was really the first one. She kind of set the stage. So her initial like thought process that led to her is 3000 BCE. That's how far back she is. That's how deep she is in the streets, right? So this is kind of the general timeline. Now, it's another, by 2000, she is now really embedded in the early formalized fire spirit, and they do offerings to her. So offerings are placed in the fire to reach your ancestors, to reach spirits, to talk to the divine. So she is one of the oldest continuous fire traditions on Earth that comes from Turkish culture. So that's what she brings to the game, man. Like this is a veteran that's been doing it. She's got 22 years in the league. She's still producing at a high rate. By the 1500 BCE, during the Celtic Bronze Age, this is when Brigid arises. And Brigid becomes a major deity because she's representing smithing, right, which is a new technology at this time. Yeah, I know, everything was a new technology at one point. She's also tied to poetry and healing, and she is a sacred flame, and she evolves from like survival to civilization. So this is where she gets impacted. It is common era 1,000 years ago. So Pele is the new kid on the block, and she settled into the Hawaiian belief system. She's tied to like land formation because she's a volcano, right? And there's an epic tale about her like fighting against the sea. Like her sister is like the ocean, and they were scrapping. And Pele had to fight for all of us to be here, man. It didn't just happen. So over the years, like, by 400 CE, Brigid gets synchronized into Christian thought. So you can see that kind of changed her look. 1200, and still persists kind of quietly. Like the religions exist among Turkish and Mongolian tribes. So she doesn't have any major expansion beyond her region. Like she doesn't become global, right? She's not a global. She's still more to her region, but she's never needed a story because she's always been there. By the 1800s, the indigenous Hawaiian community, they're still worshiping Pele, but obviously we're right on the cusp of like colonization, so that would be severely impacted. Later, her Hawaiian myth state will be written down, so they're still studied scholarly, but obviously like they're not represented as strong as they used to be. But Pele herself is still in Hawaiian movies, so Hawaii still gets her lots of love. She appears in documentaries. Local storytelling traditions are a lot of times geared towards her. She's referenced when disasters happen. Brigid is still like part of neo, like Wiccan paganism. So she's still around. She's actively celebrated on February 1st. That's her holiday. It's a symbol of feminine power. So they're all kind of here, but I'm going to get into details about each one. So we understand who these fire goddesses are, how this concept keeps going, and like what we can expect. So let's actually take a look at the first one who I got queued up here. If I have it, is At-An, right? And like again, this is a Turkish deity, and she's one of the first like fire goddesses that I actually remember like reading about, right? She's one of the first ones I ever heard of. She's known, her name is At-An, and her name basically means fire mother. Like At meaning fire, and Anna meaning mother. So that's literally what her name. She is Fire Mother, right? Like, which is one of the best nicknames you can get. Fire Mother. Her primary domains are sacred fire, the hearth, protection, and ancestral continuity. And because she represents this long connection to her community, right? So her symbol is the hearth flame, the central fire pit, and she's always shown as this maternal figure, or sometimes she just shows up as fire itself, right? Which I'm sure is quite impressive, but dangerously hot. So she is not a distant goddess. This is what's important to her as conceptualized by the people. She was a goddess who was like right there. She was a protector. Like she had distance. She lives with you. She was in the house with us. Like we brought her into the house because it wasn't even a home without her. Like if your hearth wasn't burning, right? You weren't cooking. Like it was all that stuff. It was protection of the home. It was connection to ancestors through like rituals. It was purification energy of the spirit. So this is what she represents. And in the Turkic belief, fire was treated with reverence, not control, right? You did not insult or disrespect fire because it would disrespect you. And then you really had a problem, right? And that's not what you want. You don't want that problem with fire. So she is the purifier in all those senses. And she is seen as a sacred part. Like the hearth itself, it's sacred because this continuity of the family. Like literally, this is what held families together, households together. And without households, you don't have villages. Without that, you don't have, cities and cultures and all that stuff. So cultural context, again, this is Central Asia. This is at the center of nomadic life, right? So she was warmth, she was cooking, she was protection, and they get spiritual rights from all that. So she is one of the constant companions of survival. If she wasn't around, survival probably wasn't going to be there with you, right? You can count it. They always went together. Whenever you talk to survival, and you're like, hey, survival, are you going to come along with this on this journey? And it's going to be like, well, who's going to be there? You better say she's going to be there. You better be like, oh, it's going to be me, Boney T, let's see who else. At-An. You better say that. Because if you don't have the fire goddess who's going with you, then survival's going to be like, you know what, guys? I kind of want to, but I got some other stuff that I got to do. Like, yeah, but survival, we need you. We need you to be here. Like, literally, it's no joke that to the point that which we need survival to actually survive. So if we don't have survival with us, I'm not going. Because I'm going to ask, like, survival asks if At-An's there. I'm asking if survival's there. Because if survival's not there, I already know she's probably not there, right? Because if she was there, he would come, okay? That's how it rolls. All it rolls downhill. So that's how important she was. She was not part of this cycle. She wasn't cyclical in any way. Like a lot of deities are cyclical. Not her. She existed all the time. She was always here. She was always like down for the cause. This is what makes her, so powerful within their culture. Now she is foundational to belief. Civilization begins when you got control of fire. If you didn't have control of fire, they didn't consider you a civilization. And the continuity of the same flame, literally the same flame being passed along through generations. It is the sanctity of space, is the home is sacred. And that's really where she rose. Like it's a lot wrapped up to it. And again, if we're talking all the way back to 3000 BCE, we add that to contemporary time, like we're well over like 5,000 years of worship of these deities. And we're speaking her name right now. I don't know if you guys are going to walk out saying, her name today, but you might. And I'm like, oh, what was that dude on Nine World Chronicles talking about? Oh, he's talking about, I don't know, some odd ant. And you just pass it along. That's how easy it gets. And like the more I talk about it, the more it's getting into your brain noodle, right? Into that subconscious. And one day you're going to be like, ant. For some reason, you're going to see some fire. You're going to think about her. And that's how she lives on through you, like from me to you. And that's exactly what she wants, right? That's why she's always there for you. I have a fireplace in my house. I'm glad when Aunt Ann shows up and gets his bad boy warm. It gets cold out here in the South, right? Sometimes. So the next one we talk about, this is one of my favorites, man. This is Pele. It is not because Pele is like the super hottest of all the fire gods. Not for that reason, okay? But it's because her name, the extended version, which I cannot even, Pele Ho Nu Mea. Pele Ho Nu Mea. Maybe that's approximately, right? But that means she who shapes the sacred land, which ties right back into her mythology, which says exactly that, like that she was volcano, she was lava, she was fire, and she was creation and all that stuff, and destruction. So she is symbolized by lava flow, obviously, right? By volcanic eruptions, and she's known as being this woman with this long flowing hair, surrounded by flames and liquid hot magma. Liquid hot magma, right? If you don't get where that came from, man, I can't do nothing for you, man. Busy trying to do for me, right? So she is not gentle fire. Even though I don't even know what that would be anyway, whatever gentle fire is, she's not it. She's the other kind of fire. She's unleashed fire. She's fire that will tear you up, man, if you don't pay attention to what's going on. That's who she is. Because I'm not going to stop. The lava's not going to stop. I'm just going to keep on lavaing. And if you don't get out of the way, it's going to be bad business for you. Because she is fire as raw power. She is fire as emotion, mainly rage, passion, and jealousy. It's never like fire is happy. It's never fire as chilling out. It's always fire as rage, passion, and jealousy, right? So she becomes a destructive force of fire. So she destroys forests, villages, landscapes. She destroyed my grandmother's 78 Plymouth station wagon, just burned that bad boy all the way up, right? This is who does all this stuff. But in that process, she creates new land. She creates new ecosystems. She creates new beginnings, in which my grandmother then got a brand new Volvo station wagon, which was a whole lot better. So she created that new beginning. That is essentially what she is. I will burn your shit up so that then you have to go get something new. And then I take credit for saying you had a new beginning. But she's right. That's one thing we can say about Pele. She is right. And she's been on the scene for a very, very long time. And it's still like, as far as like, I mean, we're talking, 1,500 years at this point. I think like a thousand common era to right now. We're basically saying like, 1,000 years, 1,500 years, in that range. She is feared. She is respected. She is appeased. In this area, volcanoes were not just like a myth. Volcanoes were real. So they saw that and they respected it. And they still make offerings to her today. And you better do it too. She likes her offering. So mythically, she's known from a very, like I said, it's a very rich mythology. I think I actually did a reading on it. So if you ever check out any of my, on the channel, any of like the mythology readings, I do a reading on her against Namaka, who is the goddess of the sea, and how she journeys across the islands creating volcanoes as she moves. And, it's all this, like her sister would not let her or us live on land. So she finally had to fight her and became very territorial. But she literally created the islands that, the Hawaiian people live on. So she's about, transformation through destruction. She is the emotional force of destruction or creation. She is the nature's refusal to be controlled. She was uncontrollable, right? And that's who she is. But we still get to benefit from her stories now. And I think the Hawaiian culture does like a brilliant job just kind of keeping her alive, right? They're staying alive, right? They're keeping this goddess alive by the strength of their culture and continuing to kind of speak her names, right? So big ups to that. Big ups to that. Now the last one, this is Brigid, and she comes from Celtic culture. This is a Celtic goddess of the flame, of craftsmanship, and of inspiration, right? She gets it done a lot of ways. Her name means exalted one. Okay? So it's a lot of expectations on you when your name is the exalted one. She is poetry, smithcraft, she's healing, she is eternal flame, she's forged fire, she is not survivor, she is refined fire. She's very different than the two previous goddesses. We saw like survival goddess, survival fire, we saw creation fire, and now this is refinement fire. You see her as a radiant woman with light and golden energy. And what she does is she's the fire of the forge. So this is creation, which takes skill, right? She is fire of poetry, which is creative energy and creative expression. She is the fire of healing, which is restoration and, of course, renewal. So she is a triple aspect goddess. She is smith, she is poet, she is healer. She takes on a lot of jobs. She's working a lot of jobs down there. And of course, this is Ireland's contribution. This is Celtic tradition. And she had a sacred flame. They have a sacred flame that is hers. It's a Kildare, I believe it is, and it's maintained by priests. So she's later synchronized into Saint Brigid in Christianity. So she's probably still being worshipped or talked about at some level right now. And I'm going to look at that image there and think that's probably the case, right? And Brigid is less about conflict and more about guidance, bestowing, blessings, empowerment. She is the patron artist of artisans. She is the spirit behind creativity. So it's an important deity. She is transformation through skills, what she represents. Fire, in her view, is intellectual and it's artistry. And civilization is elevated beyond just survival. We're artisans now, right? We do stuff now, right? We put on fancy ascots and then we sit with our fingers out. That's refinement. That's what you get by slowly refining us. We're not savages completely anymore. So these three deities, like, man, they're 1, 2, and 3 in terms of like how important fire ultimately is. Like, man, look, right now we all got to use fire like daily. Unless you're a kid, you probably use fire in some capacity every single day, right? Maybe heating your house, right? Lighting a cigarette, something else, whatever it is, you probably touch a lighter recently. And all these deities, like, they're still around. Like, there's still a lot of talk about them in the modern sense. They kind of come into video games or into movies. So each one of these deities, they still are getting a lot of just overall respect, not only in their own cultures, but just in general. Like, they're vastly studied. And even like when we look at modern stuff, like modern storytelling, we love fire. We love fire 100%. Like, think about, the most prevalent deities like the Jean Greys, who is fire, who else? Like Firestorm, like they're like even like the Airbender series, they have the Firebenders. That's essentially the same thing. That same belief in fire as, a particularly powerful weapon. Like, and it 100% is. That's what fire represents. In each of these deities, that's what they bring along with it. Different aspects of how fire operates. So I hope from this, guys, you got a little bit. We talked about 3 different cultures, man. There's not a lot of shows that are going to do that for you, man. It's not a lot of guys that are going to give you 3 cultures, right? Turkic, right? Hawaiian, Polynesian, and Celtic in one video. Who else is giving you the business like that, man? But that's what we do down here, man. I also gave you guys a timeline. So when you guys go back, if you want a timeline of how these goddesses first came about, you could learn that here as well. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's A'an is first, Brigid is second, and Pele was the newest comer to the team, right? So you guys don't even have to study this stuff anymore. I'm going to give you the answers at the end of the test, okay? So we got all this information packed in this MythLab, and that's what MythLabs are for. So next time I'll be back. I was a little late today, but I'll be back tomorrow on time. And yeah, we're going to have a really good time then. We're going to have a great time talking about more mythology. Hit me up with your mythological queries. As always, I'm here for you. And I'm glad to be back, man. I'm looking forward to checking in with you guys tomorrow. As always,